Quasi here, and in this video, I'm going to share with you why you're addicted to your negative thoughts and how to overcome them and how to get to a point where these thoughts no longer have such a strong pull on you and you don't move in these patterns over and over again in your life and have them actually affect your actions. Okay, by the end of this video, you're going to learn a two-step method to help you immediately take a step back from these negative thoughts and never have thoughts tugging at your life and controlling you. So before we begin this video, let's understand the nature of thoughts. Okay, so let's say this is your attention, right? And how thoughts occur is they sort of arise from nothing and then they move into nothing. But then we hold them, right? So these thoughts come up, and then this thought moves like this. It arises and moves through to your attention. And then you become attentive to these thoughts. But the interesting part about it is when this thought will come up, the negative thought, let's say, you don't just watch the thought, you watch as the thought. Okay? This is the problem with thoughts. They're very, very sticky. They will come up, thoughts and feelings will come up, and you will look through them. And when you look through something, an interesting phenomenon happens. If I look at these glasses right now, I don't even know. I'm not aware of these glasses. They've become a part of me. Okay? There is no awareness around it. I'm identified with, I'm just thinking that, okay, well, this is how the vision happens. So just like that, with all of our sense perceptions, we get identified with them. Just like that, with our thoughts, we get identified with them, right? So we start to think that these thoughts are personal. They're happening to me. Oh no, why did I have this thought? And we start to judge these thoughts instead of leaving them alone. When we start to, fight with these thoughts, we get tangled in them. Why you get addicted to all of these negative thoughts, more than positive thoughts, right? And depression happens, is because these negative thoughts, they help you strengthen a sense of an identity, okay? The negative thoughts have more of a pull, feeling like a victim. It has this emotional pull, okay? So you get a short-term dopamine spike from feeling this and allowing yourself to feel this, kind of like that. And this feels so good. It's a sick, twisted pleasure. You feel pleasure out of thinking these thoughts because it gives you permission to be who you are right now instead of, seeing you for you, your true self. So the biggest problem, the biggest reason why we get identified with our thoughts, positive or negative, right, is because we start to think that they are us. We start to personally identify with them. So the question becomes, how do you overcome this, right? And that's what the two-step solution I'm going to share with you by the end of this video is. But before we even get to that, when we get identified with these thoughts, right, we move with them. So if you have a negative thought, for me, for example, if I'm anxious about something, I'll keep checking my email. I'll keep checking social media. I'll keep, binge eating food just to try and escape that. While the anxiety will be like from my throat to my stomach area. It'll still be there. Whenever I have to do something uncomfortable, I don't want to do that. And then I escape it, I procrastinate on it. And it gets stronger and stronger. Why? Because the more you keep suppressing it and repressing it, it just gets hidden deep down into the layers of your psyche. Okay? So the big reason why we get addicted to these negative thoughts, you might be asking, why not get addicted to positive thoughts? Because they don't have as much of a pull on you as negative thoughts. Right? I made a video up here why society likes to keep us in the state of anger and fear and all of those emotions and thoughts. But understand that where there is pain, there is pleasure. Where there is pleasure, there is pain. This is just the duality of life. Unless you can transcend this duality, you'll always be trapped. You will always suffer. The way to end this suffering is because there's always a need for identification, okay? This is just how attention is. It gets identified to something. When you're born and all of these memories come up from your body, the food body, if you will, your attention gets identified with them. You see things in your environment, it wants to latch onto something. The baby, the child wants to latch onto something. But instead of latching onto something which is permanent, it latches on something that is always changing. Naturally, suffering happens. So when you latch onto these thoughts and your expectations and your fears and your doubts and your hopes and your desires, you will always suffer because they will always change. These are just coming from the ether and just going back down based on memory, based on environment. These are always changing. So the big general solution is to identify with that which is permanent. Okay? Solution, because there's always going to be a need for identification. Identify with permanent, that which never changes. Okay? Some may call this awareness. Some may call this, pure consciousness, supreme reality, whatever. But recently I was reading this book. It's called I Am That by Nisargadatta Maharaj. I ask you to read it as well. But in it he talks about how you have the mind, which is the thought. Okay, we have the mind, and then the mind is just thought. It's a bundle of thought. When you move with the mind, you're unconscious. When you can start to see your thoughts as not you, you're conscious. You get to consciousness. So this is consciousness. C-S. This is mind. Now, when you start to become conscious that someone is watching, you actually start to observe consciousness. The watcher, if you will. Now you become aware. Okay? A better way to describe this is like this. We have a big circle, a smaller circle, and within it another smaller circle. Okay? And then maybe this board is a huge, infinite, it describes infinity. The smallest circle here is the mind. It's the most limited and always changing. Your state of consciousness is always changing as well, but less so than the mind. Right? Why does your state of consciousness change? Because you can be conscious and you can be unconscious. But here's the thing. There is someone that's aware of both consciousness and unconsciousness. Okay? You can say that you were unconscious in deep sleep, but you weren't unaware. There is no unawareness. There is just awareness. Awareness is beyond all duality. Okay? I want you to experiment with that. You can be aware that you're conscious, but you can't be conscious of being aware. Okay, really think about that. The biggest circle is awareness. And anything beyond that is beyond even discussing in this video, because people will call this, like yogis will call this supreme reality. They will call this nothingness. They will call this awareness, pure consciousness or whatever, right? But it's beyond words. This is the cusp of the mind, okay? When you become aware of everything and how you identify with different things, that's when you connect to awareness. So if I were to describe this, every time you have a thought, you say, I am anxious. I am this. Even when you say you have something, you say, this is mine, as in I am this, right? So there's identification with all of these things. Going beyond that though, when you just attend to the sense I am, and you start to deny everything that this I am follows, and you ask, am I really this? Who is this that thinks this? And you really inquire into all of that, the illusion breaks. Okay? Once you attend to this sense of I am and you really ask these questions, was I born? Will I ever die? Did I really exist before I was born? Just because I was born, does it, I was born and I'm conscious when I'm born, but does it mean I wasn't aware before I was born? All of these questions, just asking these questions every single day to your psyche. You'll start to break this shell of identification, and you'll start to see illusions as illusions and the reality as real. Okay? So that which is real never changes. That which is unreal is always subject to change. So the two things you've got to do, let's talk about the tool to break this illusion. The main tool is self-inquiry. How do you inquire? Anything that happens, desire, fear, thought, anxiety, observation of anything in your environment. Who is aware of this? Who is it that's watching this? who is it, to whom does this desire even occur? To whom? Ask this question. These questions aren't meant to be answered. They're not meant to be answered with verbal. This is beyond the verbal. To whom does this occur? And you become aware of this whom. And the natural answer is me, I. To whom does this occur? It occurs to me. And the question that's left to ask is, who is this I? Who am I? Who is this me? Simple, two-step question. And when you reach this state, that emptiness, that bliss is the sliver of awareness. The more you keep inquiring into it, the more this shell starts to break. This is beyond experience, by the way. Experience is always subject to change, therefore it can't be real. Right? Even the experience of blissfulness, peace. But there is that which is beyond experience. Okay, find that. And with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. In this video, we talked about how to break this pattern of negative thinking and addiction to negative thoughts. Okay, I could give you a technique or a tool that just allows you to deal and suspend these negative thoughts like, oh yeah, you just jump around, jump up and down and be really happy and just fake a smile. Then you will end this negative thought. Because if your body smiles, then your whole mind will smile. But that's a temporary solution. It's not the real thing. I want to give you the real thing, which is what I'm talking in this video about. Right? So, let's see what we talked about. We talked about how we get identified with the thoughts that come up, right? And they move. We start to see as the thoughts and not at them. We can't look at them. And we talked about the 3 different levels, the mind, consciousness, and awareness, and how you get addicted to negative thoughts because you get a dopamine spike and it matches the identity that you've created unconsciously. And society likes to keep us in these fear and angry states. I'll put a video up there about that video I mentioned. Mind, consciousness, awareness. Consciousness watches the mind and the thoughts. Awareness watches consciousness and the mind. So within awareness, consciousness and mind is contained. Okay? The tool to help you break free from all thinking is self-inquiry. It's not for all. It won't be easy. A lot of your illusions will be destroyed, but not a lot of people are ready for that. Right? People aren't ready to go beyond. They want to explore this material illusion further. But the more you start to question this illusion and you inquire within the self, whom does this desire rise to? Who is this? Who watches this and who is experiencing this right now? Is this real? Just because I see it, does it make it real? Who am I? Who is this I that even is aware of all of this? With that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell there so you're notified of any new video that I put out. And I'll see you next time. Thanks.